We are all the heirs to Scotland, as a nation proudly stand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street, are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let a flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. To the world we bid a welcome in 1,000 different ways. We will toast to long lost friendships as we build our better days. In the glens and cities, there on every street, are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. We are all the heroes of Scotland. We're a nation hand in hand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street, are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum.
Drinking warm water before bed.
Good evening, folks. I hope you're all doing well, comfy and cozy and all that good stuff. We error. That's F-O-T. So there we are, folks. Here. I'm here. Yeah, I've got a couple of things that I want to speak about tonight, primarily about the party, that is. Nothing dramatic, I don't think. Should be dramatic anyway. It's simply to remind those who have not paid this year's subscription that it would be awfully good if you made an effort and got that prescription paid as soon as you can. It is only £5 after all. Most of you have paid it, but there are a few who haven't. October. Evening all. Evening, John. I hope your treatment is going well, mate. Well, I've had my second lot. And it seems to be doing all right. No unexpected hiccups, which is the most important part, which sim food. That's the most important part. I don't want to go into too much gory detail because it's not everyone that wants to hear that stuff, and I don't want to overdo it. However, I have been in and out of hospital for the last 6 weeks or so. In and out, in and out, in and out. Yeah, I know, Trevor, it's always a wee bit of a sticky one for you. I know that. If you want to send me a check, that'll do fine. If you could do that, that would be great. Or postal order. Just don't want it to become a mountain for you. And the sense of getting it done. Hi, Dawn. How you feel, Marshall? So yeah, I've been in and out of hospital, which has caused difficulties, medical difficulties, which have been sorted out as far as I can tell. And that's important. Thank you, Trevor M. I appreciate that. So that's caused quite a kerfuffle in how the treatment's going, but now that all seems to have settled down, thankfully, and so far so good. But because I've been in and out like this, it has afforded other opportunities. And that's one of the things that I want to talk to you about. Now, just bear with me. When you're in the ward, you quite often get sent for x-rays and scans and what have you. And it's not always a nurse that takes you, or a porter, for that matter, that takes you. So what I have been doing is, because when this is happening to me, I'm feeling a bit better. I'm usually, at this point, although I'm in the ward, I'm usually dressed to such an extent as I've got on what I've got on here. Okay? And I'm getting taken by very, very often a newly qualified doctor, getting taken down to the X-ray department or the scan department. And of course, conversation arises. But I have used these opportunities for politics. And instead of talking to these young medical people about chit chat or hospital chatter, shall we say, I have deliberately engaged in propaganda. I have deliberately engaged in selling them one particular policy. And that's the policy regarding the National Health Service. Now, I don't always get the opportunity to finish this conversation because the distance involved, okay? But I usually get enough of the policy described in detail so that on my return visit, going back to the ward, usually taken by the same member of staff, I can then round the policy off so that they have a clearer understanding of what it's all about. And every time I get that opportunity, I use it. Whether I'm in the local hospital or I have been taken to another hospital, as sometimes has happened. Now, what is the upshot of all of this? Well, the upshot of all of this is thank you, Streaky, is the fact that their eyes light up as soon as I go into the description about how our policy is going to work in relationship to them being duly qualified. Their eyes light up and they pay attention. Now that's positive. Why? Because I sell them immediately on the idea, do you really want to go abroad and live? Do you really want to leave your parents or your boyfriend or perhaps your fiancé or anything like that? Do you really want to do that? Or would you rather stay at home to enjoy the benefits of being at home with friends and family and surroundings that you know and are familiar with. Because if you do, then our policy will allow you to enjoy a high standard of living, because we, the government of the day, we will reduce your overall loan indebtedness on a regular basis by a regular amount, so that that amount of debt goes down constantly. And the longer you're in the service of the National Health Service, the lower that becomes. And therefore, the salary that you're entitled to get as a doctor or a nurse, say, is going to be greater. It's going to be equivalent of working abroad. Try to get myself comfy here. And if you say it a couple of times, they get it. They actually get hold of this whole idea that if they stay here, stay within the National Health Service and do their job, then that debt level will decrease without them doing anything about it. And that will bring them into line with any salaries that they're likely to get abroad, should they go abroad. Every time I've tried this, every time I've mentioned it, in this period of hospitalisation that I've been through, you can see that the light of imagination in their mind is lighting up every time. Every time. I also tried it with the nurses. It works the same with the nurses as it does with the young doctors. So what am I saying to you? Well, what I'm saying to you is this. Instead of getting a few hundred flyers printed out and standing at street corners, I think our best plan of action here is to write a dedicated flyer containing the elements, the most important elements of our policy, and give them out at health centres and at hospitals outside the building, of course. That way, the audience is being targeted. deliberately so. To them, not just to them, but also to anyone who happens to be connected to them. I think this is a strategy worth pursuing. Now, obviously, I'm not just talking about me doing it, me standing outside. Hi there, Toffee. I'm not talking about me doing it standing outside the local hospital myself. What I'm talking about is that every person, every party member who's able and willing could do this outside their local health centre, their local hospital, and cover more area. That way, we are at least targeting the people we want to read this policy, rather than give it out to the general public who may or may not read it. And I think there's a better success with that. What do I mean by success? Well, what I mean by success is people who are more likely to take on board the policy itself and support it. A bit more likely to consider joining the party. Because there's a direct benefit for them in being a member of that party, supporting that party. They will also, if they support the policy, advocate for it inside the hospital itself, or the health centre that they work in. I think it's a bit more positive than just simply giving out leaflets. If we're going to give leaflets out at all, I think that's what we should do. We should try and target these leaflets to particular areas of the public. This would be a very good one because it's an incredibly good policy that people will support and have, as I say, I've tested it now. Not a huge test, admittedly, but any chance that I've had in these weeks that I've been in the hospital, I've been using it as best I can. Obviously, there are times when I'm not up to it, but when I am, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying the policy. How is it going down? How do people respond? I haven't met any negativity so far. Of course, that's easy to say that because I'm a patient, they're staff. So there's always that to take into consideration about how well you're gauging the response to your conversation. But I think it's much, much more positive than simply blindly giving out flyers on the street corner or at a local supermarket or anything like that, because they're not aimed at anybody in particular. But if we create flyers that are solely produced with the broad policy of the national health of ours on it, that it has at least a chance of making a real connection with the person that you're giving it to. And therefore, it would be great if we could get as many people to volunteer for giving these flyers out once they're made. It doesn't have to be overwhelming numbers either. But if it were the right number over a period of time, then you would have consistency. And that's what I've been thinking about since I was in the hospital and since I came out. It just seemed to work very well while I was there. Obviously, I didn't have any flyers to give them, so I was a wee bit lost in that sense. But if we get the flyers done up, then you can stand outside your local medical centre or hospital and give these things out. You won't always hit a medical member of staff, but there'll be enough of them coming and going. And you don't have to do that all day. You know, it's not a big ask. And we have to do something, folks. Otherwise, we're just going to be standing still. And that's not good enough, standing still. The party has to grow, has to develop, it has to reach beyond where it's reaching now. And that all takes help from each of you. This is not something I can do all by myself. Never could. It sounds like a plot, but well, it's one of a few plans, Steve. It's a plan that is practical, that can be done. It doesn't require too much effort. Depends on where you live in relationship to health centres and hospitals, obviously. For me, that would be a taxi ride or a bus ride away. Toffee, George, you fancy a wee chat in 15 minutes after I've eaten my tea? I've not spoken to you for ages. Yes, of course. Yeah, sure. No problem, Toffee. No problem at all. I've only got one more thing that I want to talk about, so I can talk about that while you're eating your tea. I get the old lugs out here. So the other thing I wanted to bring up tonight, I'll speak about that now before Toffee comes on. Is that come the 9th of October, that's Wednesday, 9th of October, 11 a.m., I shall be in the local cemetery with a memorial wreath for Armistice Day, bought by party funds, of course. And the local press will be there to record this event. Thank you, Real. The other thing, of course, as well, is I've hired a paper this time. I thought that having a paper there would add a real touch of solemnity and dignity to the whole affair. So I've hired a local paper. You will only be playing one piece, but that's more than enough. So that'll be happening on the 9th of November. If anyone who lives in this area could possibly make it here, that would be great also. But most of you, as I know, don't live close at hand, which is unfortunate. So what we'll do is we'll make do in bed with whatever number we get. The main thing is that the event will be recorded by the Telegraph. No, Treble M, the party funds are sufficient that we don't need any additional cash being raised by either members or non-members for this purpose. I've got it all covered, and so is the cost of the paper. Well, I have got a warm heart, so I'm not concerned about that, Rory. The only thing it would bother me is if it's like last year. I mean, last year, holy moly, it was blowing about over 100 miles an hour last year, and I am not exaggerating. It really was. So I'm hoping it's not like that. But even if it is, doesn't matter. The point is, we get the publicity, we get it in a nice, dignified way. I'll write some short statement up, say a few words on the morning, and the local paper will take care of the rest of it. But thanks for the offer anyway, Treble M. But as I say, party funds are such that we can afford to buy a nice wreath. It would be also helpful if those who haven't paid their subscription paid it, which is only £5. So I'm asking you nicely to do that as well. But this will be good because it will be noted that a lone piper was there and played a lament. And that'll be something that the other groups don't have. That's why we are having it. So I suppose I should put in the invitation so that our friend can come in. Toffee. So there's a connection, Toffee. I'm putting it in the chat now. Remember, it's for Toffee. Okie dokie, there it is. And we can have a wee chat. So see, I haven't really had time to tell you this because I haven't been on as regular as I used to be on. Forcing past that down. Yeah, I'm sure it will be nice, Trevor. The pipes are always grand when you hear them, especially at a lament at such an occasion. And it will be noted, don't worry. We didn't quite have the cash last year to do it. But this year we have the cash. Hi there, Parker. Nice to see you. And it's something that people remember. Ah, good evening, DJ. I hope you read my reply to your comment. Made a mistake, of course. I put JD instead of DJ. Stupid me, of course. I appreciate what you were saying. I do. Appreciate what you all say. Means a lot. I think that's one of the most difficult things is when you know someone who suddenly takes ill and it's a pretty serious illness. It leaves you hanging in a sense, not knowing what to say for sure. Oh, there's Eki. Hello there, Eki. How you doing there? Still waiting for that movie, by the way. Okie dokie. So did you can, my friend. Makes it easier for the rest of us. So, that's that. And of course, further in the future, I'll be looking to get the chess tournament organised again. Perhaps slightly differently this year than last year. Just wait and see how that works out. But as I say, if there's anyone who's listening who can make it to the Greenock Cemetery on the 9th, that would be brilliant. But I don't expect anyone to show up because it's such an out of the way place for most, pardon me, for most of you. So there is that. And I have to explain, I always have to explain that to the local paper. They will say, is there no more local members? I'll say, yes and no, but they're working, and they are. And the rest of them are scattered all over the country. So, and that seems to satisfy them. I hope in time that'll grow, even if I'm not there to see it. We'll see. I'm looking forward to hearing the pipe. Oh, that'll be good. Different. Very different. So bear in mind what I say about the flyers, having them targeted for hospitals and medical centres. I think that would be a very useful way to put them out. Very effective as well. It'll bring attention, if nothing else. Rather than standing outside, you know, supermarkets and whatnot. I'm not sure how useful that is, to be honest. I suppose it depends. But targeting, I think, is a much better idea. But I need to rate it, or somebody needs to help me rate it. Oh, there he is. He is with us. Good evening, Toffee.
Hello, John, lad. Long time no speak, sir.
Good
Good to
God,
see
yeah. I can't even remember the last time we had a wee chat.
months and months and months.
Oh, got to be. Absolutely got to be, that's for sure.
You looking healthy, lad.
Sorry?
You look healthy, mate.
Well, that's good, thanks. Yeah, everybody who sees me tells me that I'm looking healthy. I'm looking like my old self. I'm not.
No, not at all. It was so nice. I think everyone in the chat will agree. When I had a message sent some, do you know when your movie review of 12 Angry Men the other
Uh
day,
huh.
I thought that might have been like a previously scheduled one that you'd left up. So a message sent some like, is he on tonight? And then when he came on, it was such a nice surprise. Oh, it was brilliant.
That's good. Yeah. And
Great
again,
film, by the way.
oh, yeah, absolutely. There's so much you could say about it. It goes on and on. But what I wanted to say, because you're here, is a special thanks for that prayer. I assume it was a prayer that you left uh, underneath a comment. It was quite beautiful. I was quite taken by it. So thanks for that.
It's a nice prayer, that one.
Didn't know it at all.
I don't even know where I got it from, to be honest. It was just one of the ones that I remembered off the top of my head. Comfort your sick servant, minister to his needs. I thought it was a nice, appropriate one.
Yeah, lovely. I just thought it was really, really good. Um, so tell me, what's happening in your life, Toffee?
The usual. I've been fishing this week. Do you know you were talking about leaflets there?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
recently leafleted for a up and coming party called the National Housing Party UK. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Is
It's the
that John
first kind of
Lawrence?
like
Is that John
activism that I've
Lawrence?
done. That's the one, yeah. That's the
Yeah,
one.
I know John Lawrence. Yeah,
Yeah. So they
yeah,
were leafleting in my local area, and 42, the
yeah, yeah,
Irishman.
yeah.
He got in touch because I'm the only Scouser he knows, presumably. I said, Toffee's a good lad. He'll do some leafleting for you. Sorry, I've got a bit of wind. I've just eaten a load of pasta. Said he'll do some leafleting for you. So met up with them, took one of me doggies, and just covered a few streets.
Good.
Quite enjoyed it. It's the first bit of political IRL activism I've done for a decade, probably at least a decade.
Wow.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, I hope you see the point I'm making that if if we do this one for the People's Party, it's targeted to the medical people themselves, and we can give them out outside the medical practices. And so far, as I said, while I was in a hospital, use the opportunity to speak to them. Everyone has been so enthusiastic and positive about what I've had to say. It just fills me with confidence that we can pick up at least support, if nothing else.
Well, targeting your audience is an important thing. So where we obviously preaching to the choir here, you know yourself, the Labour Party in Merseyside feel like they've got a safe seat around here. They sort of see like, oh, the silly scousers will vote for us no matter what. To the point where they don't even bother knocking on doors or leafleting because they'll know they get voted in. So I'm hoping with the NHP UK, there's a few people standing in this area. So even if they don't get voted in, I'm hoping that they just steal a significant amount of the vote from the Labour Party. I hate the Labour Party.
Well, don't we all? But that's the point, Toffee. The point is at this stage that even if we don't overturn a seat, what we do is we collide with that seat and make an impact in that seat so that people who may not have heard John's message before will hear it. Those who have not heard our message before will hear it. And that's two new messages uh, going into someone's head, which is very, very important for us and bad for them. So, again, I would say to you, these are all positive things if you want to look at them that way. They don't necessarily bring us direct advantages, but in the longer term, they will.
The problem is apathy.
Yes.
A lot of people, they know they've got, no matter which way they vote, lib, lab, con, they know it doesn't make a difference. So it's trying to convince people, vote for an independent. What's the worst that can happen? You're not losing out. Just vote for an independent party. And I was, to be honest, right, it was very encouraging because
Yeah.
I'm a local. John's not local to Roundy. Roundy is rough, and John's got a pretty strong Oldham accent. So I think if
Yes, he
you,
has. Yes, he
yeah.
has.
So me going round in my accent, I could sort of level with people a bit. Know the locals. I speak like you, kind of thing. And I sort of sounds weird. I tactically took one of my staffies round with me because I knew in the area that we were leafleting, If I turn up with a little dog, all the owl girls are going to be like, "Oh, is that your dog? Oh, isn't he lovely?" And that is the exact reaction that I got.
Yes,
And
but the point is that's smart. That's smart thinking, Toffee. That's the kind of thinking we need. We must have that smart thinking because it works. Doesn't
I
matter
think it
why it
goes a
works.
long way, mate, if you speak to people in their language. Like, for example, as I said, the Labour Party around here, all of them, all of their candidates are sort of from the outskirts of Liverpool, and they've got this kind of posh, generic accent where they don't speak like anyone. So if you get one of them knocking at your door talking like a posh divvy, or if you get me talking how we speak to each other, it does
Yeah,
go a long way.
absolutely. That's why I'm saying you're absolutely correct on your 2 points. A, the way you present yourself, and B, having that wee dog there is a perfect introduction. Without having an introduction, it's there. It just adds so much colour to your message and what you've got to say. So for me, that's all positive, absolutely positive.
There was
Uh,
even, which was very encouraging, there was a group of lads, like the local scallies, like the young teenagers playing on the bike, kicking the ball about in the street as they do. So as we covered a few roads, and as I said, this is a rough area. A few of them came over to me and were like, "Does he bite?" Talking about the dog. "Does he bite?" I was like, "No, he's all right." So they come over and stroke the dog, and then they were curious about what I was doing, delivering leaflets, and
yeah.
followed me for like a few minutes up the road, just asking questions and stuff. Very encouraging. I'm really
Well,
hoping the NHP UK have got a very good chance of winning a lot of votes around here. Because as I said, everyone's disenfranchised, completely disenfranchised with Lib Lab Con. They know the Labour Party is not doing them any good. They know they're the same as the Tory light or whatever you want to call it. So just hopefully, as I said, what's the worst that can happen? Just come out and vote for an independent.
well, the worst that can happen is nothing. That's the worst that can happen, but that won't happen because you'll get a response. You'll get some kind of reaction, some kind of response, no matter how small it is. That would be my argument. I know that's happened here with me when I was out, but I was only out on my own. Nobody was helping me when I was doing this. So it was even more limited. But I regard myself just as an ordinary person, as one of the people in the street that I'm talking to. So I don't see any barriers. Uh, but it's difficult, of course. But if you show them that you don't think it's hopeless, it does help. And you have to have that sort of self confidence that you believe that what you're doing isn't useless or waste of time.
I know we talk about the quote unquote left being sheeple,
Yeah.
but that is just human nature almost. Our side is just as guilty of it. So if we get someone who people follow the crowd, basically, me and No Chance, No Chance, the
Oh
Glaswegian,
yeah. Yeah.
me and him were talking about it, and we were saying if you just get someone who is willing to go a different direction, people will follow. It's just natural human nature. People will follow what's sort of popular.
Yes, of course. Especially if you make it easy for them.
I've wanted to. I've got a few ideas because I'm from where we were leafleting is not my area. I'm from North Liverpool, and say the council estates in North Liverpool. So say Exactly where I'm from, or Norris Green and Croxteth. I'm sort of. It sounds daft to say, just through boxing, I'm sort of well known in these areas. People know who I am. So I think if I can go out and leaflet in these kind of places and people know my face and sort of respect me, that goes a really long way.
Of course it does. That it all comes down ultimately to A, the person that's going out and speaking. That's the most important thing. And secondly, the message that they are taking with them. If those two things coincide, then you're on a winner. That's it's to me. It's that simple. I went out with a simple message about a small matter locally, and I kept it that way. And I found no resistance whatsoever, none.
No, these leaflets we were giving out, you can't argue with anything that was on it. It was all basic stuff. So
That's
there's
that.
nothing that can be argued with. There was even, to be honest with you, I was a little bit nervous thinking, do you know when people see the word national or nationalist,
Yeah,
it just sort of, some people gag at it a little bit. So I was kind of worried that maybe a few people are like, ah, what the fuck's this? Sorry to swear.
no,
But
no, 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 no.
as I was giving them out, there was one point, in fact, I was a few doors down. Someone opened the door that I just delivered the leaflet through and was like, "What's this?" And I was thinking, "Oh, here we go." So it was a middle-aged lady. So I
Yeah,
just said, "Oh, it's a new political party girl. Give the leaflet a read." So she sort of scanned it a little bit and was like, "Oh yeah, nice one." There was even right. Honest to God, I wouldn't say this if it wasn't true. John Lawrence could back me up. A few people came out of the doors and said, "Oh, nice one, young man, nice one." It's very
good,
encouraging.
good. I mean that. Well, of course, because you're not out there selling the old stories. You're out there with a different view, a different message. It's the only thing that's up for grabs. Really, is do people believe you, and that all comes down to you about the person you are, how you present yourself, etc., etc. I've got honestly, Toffee, I'm not just saying this because you're here. I've got every confidence in our message, every confidence. The only thing that we lack is the money to project that message across the nation. If we could project that across the nation, we would be in power in next to no time. I've got no doubt in my mind
No, the
because
same.
our message is true, it's real, and it's what people want to happen.
I know for a fact, particularly males, not so much the ladies. Women tend to be a little bit more naturally liberal. I know for a fact the majority of working class males completely agree with everything we say. They're just scared to open their mouths. Like I've got how many? I've got 12 young lads who work for me. And once they, no, it's quite funny. Do you know, like people are scared to talk and sort of mince the words a little bit. Once these lads realise that they can just say whatever they want in front of me, it's like a weight's been lifted off their mind, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I can just say it. I'm not happy with what's going on. I'm not happy with these foreigners in my country. I'm not happy about it."
Yeah.
And I know for a fact, and just think of we're still the majority, the overwhelming majority. There's
Yeah.
lads up and down council estates in this country, millions of them who agree with what we have to say. They just need an outlet to. They just need to know that we're here.
Yes.
Come over, we're here, and just we can represent you.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. That's my experience. It's my experience when I was campaigning, and it's been my experience in daily life because I use every opportunity I can to bring it up. And when I do, I get that support, no matter who I'm talking to.
But as I've said, the obstacles to overcome here, we've already got them people on. We've already got them people. They're there, but the obstacle to overcome is apathy, and I don't know how we get over that obstacle. Because it's all very well these people saying, "Yeah, yeah, great, we're on board," but it's getting them off their asses to actually vote, and I just don't know how to overcome that obstacle, to be honest.
The only way I know how, and I don't know if it's a successful strategy or not, Toffee, is to say you take you take the one person that you're speaking to, uh, and I'll use one of the things that I was talking about over here, and that is the cost of the the bins being collected, right? This idea that they're going to put cost onto it. But as I would say to them, there is only one way to stop that cost from going on that bin. Well, how's that? I says, you don't vote for the people who want to bring in the cost. You vote for someone like me who doesn't want to bring in that cost on the bins, and it won't come in. That's how you stop it. That's how you stop them, is by saying, what is it they want? Do I want that? If I don't want that, then I have to oppose it. What does that mean? It means I have to find someone like you to vote for. And once you get it down to those kind of levels, very simple levels, it becomes a whole lot easier for people to work out in their head.
Yeah, you've had the right idea all along, mate. Like, as much as it'd be nice for people to see the bigger picture, I think the mistake that nationalists kind of, our side, should we say, have been making is, sorry to be a bit obscure, but like saying, talking to people, a perfect example of what's going on in Israel and Palestine or world politics. People aren't asked about that stuff. People are asked about their bins getting collected or how much
It's going to
fucking
cost.
bread and milk is going to cost. That's the way
That's
to
it.
target people.
That's it. Bread and butter politics has always been bread and butter politics. That's the way it has always been, Toffee. I think for long enough, there'll come a point in time when that will be able to change, but not right now. Right now, people are still interested in these very ordinary domestic problems that face them all the time, and they want these problems solved. And if you could offer them a solution, like I say, very simple. If you don't want the bins costing more money, then vote for me. Don't vote for him or her. Vote for me because we won't put the price on it. And once you get that through their head, then you're going to get someplace.
It's
Oh yeah,
definitely
you
the
can
way
move.
forward.
Yeah, then you
Get
can
them
move.
on side with the small stuff and then just build up to the bigger stuff.
Correct. That's it. Because most people, once you start using words like economics, cost of living, these sort of terms, for a lot of people that becomes just too much, too abstract for them. They can't quite cope with it. You've got to bring it back all the time to very, very, very simple things. Like I say, the cost of this and the cost of that, and actually mention the damn cost. But one of the other things that I was going on about all the time, because it is criminal in my view, is they have added costs to the uh, the gravestones in the cemetery, but people don't know about it. And the only time they know about it is when they've got to deal with a gravestone.
Hey, look at Ecky's comment there, John. That just tickled me. Oh, you're upset about bread costing too much. Have you heard about the Talmud? Exactly, mate. People aren't quite on board with that kind of thing yet. Ecky, by the way, I particularly enjoyed your input on the 12 Angry Men stream. He's always got great taste, but he was particularly brilliant on that one.
Oh,
Fantastic.
he's always got something useful to say. Is Ricky? That's for sure.
Clever guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I hope you see the point. The point is that you have to move them slowly, surely, a little at a time, until You can move them in bigger pieces, bigger chunks, because once they have come to trust you on the small stuff, they'll begin to trust you on the bigger stuff.
A great example, John. Yeah, Treble M. Treble M's in the chat. She'll know what I mean. Do you know Mr. Joe Owens from
Ah,
Liverpool?
I know of them.
Yeah, he's very much of the same opinion of what we're talking about here. Do the small stuff first. And he's been, God bless him, he's off his own back. He spends money on leaflets and he stands constantly for various councils. He was standing in the Wavertree, the Kensington and Fairfield ward recently. Kensington is particularly bad in Liverpool. It used to be a decent place and it's just been completely, it's like it's like a little Somalia now, basically. He stands there, but the problem with Joe is I don't want to talk bad about the man at all. I know him personally. It's his past baggage which is stopping him from getting in. The Liverpool Echo, if he ever gets any kind of leverage, the Liverpool Echo are just going to attack him. Yeah, it's just, he's got too much past baggage, unfortunately, Joey.
I know that. I know something about him, so I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he has too much. And that's another thing that people on our side need to learn, Toffee. There are people on our side who need to learn to stand down and go into the shadows and out of the way, because they're only a nuisance. They are only a block to progress.
Yeah. What was very frustrating about his recent campaign when we had the local elections, so the Liverpool Echo, who I despise, they've told various lies about me in the past. That's the local newspaper, the Echo. Whenever the local elections come up, you would have thought, in the interest of fairness, they'll interview or give it a bit of coverage to every single candidate. They did it for every other candidate but Joe Owens. And I can understand why, but it was still unfair. It's like he's standing, show a bit of balance. He's standing, why don't you put his story forward? But they never will. And he knows they never will. So there's no point in him standing, to be honest. What he should do, Joey, he should get someone else as a front. He can be the brains in the background kind of thing, but he should get someone else to be his candidate, if you know what I mean. That's what he should do.
He needs a proxy. That's what he needs.
Yeah, a proxy, exactly.
I never invited Rory on here, and he's come on. I'll let him on for a few minutes. Hello there, Rory. How did you? Oh, yeah, of course, you used the link, didn't you?
Hello, mate.
I'm taking this opportunity to speak to Toffee because I haven't spoken to him for such a long, long time. And I know that he's been up to his neck in all sorts of interesting things. So what have you been up to then?
Well, John, I'm sorry if I jumped on here without your permission. I did put a question in the chat earlier, asking you if I could pop on. So no, and I just thought I'd want to say hello to both of you and Toffee.
Sure.
You're
Yeah, but I consider where Toffee lives to be very, very important, not just for my party, but for John Lawrence's party, because of its history. It's a place that needs to be politically assaulted properly, so that the people who live there get their eyes open finally before it's far too late.
Yeah,
You're right, John. I think particularly the two main places in the UK are Liverpool and Glasgow.
Yep,
We're very similar places, and for the exact reason you just said,
yeah.
We need to be politically assaulted.
They've always, in my opinion, both the Liverpudlians and the Glaswegians have been very always been very strong people knitted together by their community. And I don't see why that can't continue. It should continue.
Because it's continuing in the wrong road. It's on the wrong road. That's the trouble with it. It may be strong, yes. It may be long lasting, yes. It has a history, yes. Of course, it has all of those things. And it probably has very good community leaders in there. The trouble is, they're on the wrong political path, in my view. And that needs to change. And the only way we can change that is by a proper attack politically on it by people like Toffee who live there, who speak that lingo, who have all sorts of stuff in common that you and I could not possibly know about. And the same with John Lawrence, where he is. That's what is needed to break the solidarity of these places, because it needs broken. Otherwise, it'll just stand as it is and continue to grow with foreign elements in it.
And there's something particularly unique about us. Sorry, Rob. There's something, we're very tribal, like very, very tribal around here. And if we can harness that tribal mentality in the right direction, we can go far.
Well, absolutely. But unfortunately, I mean, historically, it's never happened. I mean, look at the Cockneys in London. You know, white flight, wasn't it, from the 1960s onwards, basically.
Yes, but with all due respect, I'm just going to come out and say this, right?
Sure.
People go on saying what you just said, and what I'm saying to you is that's not good enough. It's not good enough anymore. Hasn't been good enough for 15 years. Hasn't been good enough in the time that I've been around. Why? Because if you really do care about your people, if you really do care about this country, then it's time to join some organisation, if not this one, some other one, and do something instead of just sitting at home with a computer complaining.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. And I hope all
So
three
why
of us
don't
do.
you?
I'm sure we
My
do.
challenge to you is then why don't you? Why don't people like you do it? Why do you all sit there and say, you're right, John, and do nothing?
No, to be fair, John, Rory's, I hope you don't mind me saying, Rory's been very generous towards the Woodlanders' recent initiative.
Sure, I accept
Well,
that.
also,
But
John,
Yeah.
also, I stood as a UKIP candidate in my
Yeah.
local ward in 2015, 2017, and 2019. And I built up my vote. 29, I got 14% of the vote. That was enough to scare the Conservative candidate because he lost 30% of the vote. So we can make a difference in local
Of course
elections.
we can. But as far as the Woodlanders concerned, as far as I'm concerned, that's one half of an equation. We need a second half. We need a political half. What he's doing is brilliant, and I support it 100%, and he knows that. And so should everyone else. But we still need political party. We still need some political action, the right kind of action, to go hand in glove with what the Woodlanders do. We can move in parallel.
I agree.
But
Yeah,
not
we're
Okay.
talking about this, lads. Rory, you'll know better than me.
Yes.
What are the... I know that a PA aren't registered at the moment. What are the chances of them getting registered? Is there much chance?
none.
Toffee, I'm not a lawyer, but it's obvious to me that the Electoral Commission is just being supervised and run by people that don't want right-wing parties ever to become a political party in this country. Same with the Homeland Party. You know, they've been rejected. PA, I think, has been rejected 7 times now, you know, for the most ridiculous statements that they've made.
Well, I was accepted first time.
Well, excellent. John, and congratulations.
Because it's not just what you say, it's how you approach the problem, how you put down what it is you're intending and doing, and all of that stuff. And I'm saying to you, in my view, for what it's worth, and it may not be worth very much, they're not going to get it because their whole structure is quite obvious. It's built on leadership. And anybody with half a brain can see that it's built on leadership. And if it's built on leadership, it's going nowhere.
Yeah, my opinion. I feel like if they want to if they're looking at registering, I feel like they sort of shoot themselves in the foot and self-sabotage a fair bit to the point where they're like, I don't know, like a self-fulfilling prophecy. How they behaving. I support everyone on our side, but I don't think they're going the right way about it to get anywhere.
Likewise, Toffee, that's my view, and it has been my view ever since I stumbled across them all those years ago. That's why I set out on my own track. Now, let me be honest again here, for what it's worth. Well, I was partially wrong too when I set out to do what I did. I spent my money getting a political party up and running through this commission, only to cause me nothing but heartache and problems, to such an extent that I now have resigned from the commission. That's why the party is now called the People's Party, because they would not allow me to change the name. And who are they to dictate to me or the party members what the name of the party should be? Well, they're nobody. But they do, and they insist that they dictate what your symbol is, or logo if you prefer, which they try to do to me as well, which I know they have done to PA. So I was just a lot less tolerant than, say, Mark Collette, if he's the one that's behind it, because I just wouldn't accept it. So I resigned right away and said, no, you're not on. No, you're not having that kind of control over my party. Because I don't need it.
Can I ask you a question about the Electoral Commission? I mean, what are their fees? Do they have an annual fee per year?
Yes, of course they do.
An awful lot to become a party, and then you come back and you say, no, you can't, and you got to pay us another 150 quid. But yeah, I'm wondering,
it costs you hundreds of pounds to get in right away. Right. But you've got to meet their conditions before you get in. You don't know what their conditions are until you've made your application.
But aren't they published? Why don't they publish their conditions?
Because they used to be part of the government department. Pardon me. They were sold by David Cameron into a private entity. It's now a private business for profit. Everything they do now costs money.
They're in Bun Hill Row, aren't they, on the City of London? I know exactly where they are. They're opposite a big lawyer firm.
Probably. I don't know.
They are.
Slaughter
and May. Slaughter and May is one of the biggest lawyer firms in this company. I think they call it the Golden Seven or something. Yeah, they're right opposite the Electoral Commission. So there we go.
That was my experience. I put up with it thinking wrongly because I'd listened to the wrong voices that I have to avoid certain political names in order to get through this, right? Which I did. So I deliberately chose the Pensioners Party, knowing very well that I could switch that at any future point to what I really want.
But now they're saying that you can't change.
And then they said, no, you can't. Then I said, I want to change. I want to register the party logo, the emblem that we use. No, you can't do it. So what's the point?
Well, did they give a reason?
Well, they give
Why not?
reasons, but the reason is the logo is not identified well enough with your party for it to work. So you can't have it.
Okay.
So it sort of
Okay.
sounds like they just make the rules up as they go along. They'll
Oh,
just
that's
do anything to sabotage.
Toffee. That's
Absolutely.
exactly what they're doing. That's
Yeah.
exactly what they're doing. But the point is, my friend, for
Uh-huh.
people like you and I who are on the outside, it's costing us money all the time.
Yeah.
Because every time I inquire into these things, it's costing me money. And then you've got an annual yearly fee you've got to pay. And if you don't pay it on time, there's a fine on top of it.
Right.
It's just a racket. to
Yeah,
try to
exactly,
do
a
it.
rocket.
So I came to the conclusion, rightly or wrongly, my party doesn't need this. We could call ourselves whatever we like, our way of calling ourselves the People's Party, right? Which was always to be the intention anyway. Didn't have a logo at the time. Now we do have a logo. So we have a logo and we have the real name. But what do I need the commission for? Because when it comes to elections, if you stand, say, Toffee, as a party member, if you're a party member, it would be your personal name that would be on the document, not the party. That's what you pay for. You pay hundreds of pounds so that it'll say the People's Party on the ticket. That's
Our
it.
political system currently, always, in fact, it basically behaves the same way as a cartel or a mafia, dare I say, behaves.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Unfortunately for me, it took me hundreds of pounds to find that out the hard way by doing it. Well, now I'm outside of that system, and I'm
Such
quite
is
happy.
life.
And I'm quite happy to be
Excellent.
outside of that system because now I can say to people, no, the party name is it's the People's Party. That's our logo, our symbol, if you like, that goes with the name. If you wish to join the party, it'll cost you £5. End of story. We've got a constitution which I wrote and they accepted with all the rules and regulations in there. But I know Mark Collette doesn't have that because he's got a system based on leadership.
I agree. Linda Hunter's just made our sister from Down Under. It's just said, and it's unfortunately true. I wish it wasn't. Honesty won't work in this dishonest system.
And there's the Woodlander saying it himself. It's a self-sustaining system that will not allow anything that wished to be changed to change the system. It will not allow
That's-
anything to change it.
That's a good point from the Woodlander. Yeah.
I think
That's
that
how
is
it is.
the only point, really.
The
The only
system
point.
polices itself.
Yeah. And the only time that won't apply, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, I probably won't live to see this. That rule that the Woodlanders laid out there will not apply when my party is big enough that it can ignore it.
Same
It
with all
will.
independent parties. If we can get to the point where we're big enough and they can't be ignored anymore, it's just
Correct.
getting to that point.
You know what that point is? The point is, see if everybody who had joined the Woodlanders initiative had joined the People's Party, we would already be in that position.
I'm
That's
not
the
even sure
argument.
what the Woodlanders' numbers are, to be honest. I think
Well,
it's a fair few
I'm
people.
only going to that number that's up on the website. That's the number I'm going on, right? I'm just using it as a way of demonstrating something. It doesn't
Yeah, I
take
don't know.
the political parties in this country, Toffee, unless in case you don't know, they are not that big numerically. They are not.
But this is why, as I've said, I've not done any activism for years and years, maybe a decade, maybe. And what activism I did do wasn't particularly positive, didn't solve anything. But the NHP UK, I've looked at their numbers and they are rapidly gaining local councillors, and they are rapidly gaining up and down the country, including Scotland. And it does give me hope that there's a guy, one of their leadership, Pat, who I've not met. He's a southerner from London. I've met John. I've met Paul Rimmer. I've known Paul for years. He's a Scouser. But Pat was showing me like the statistics of how many councillors, and Pat is of all confidence that this can work if we just keep going. I'm still a little bit dubious that there's a political solution, to be honest.
Okay.
But he has been it's very encouraging, the numbers that they're gaining.
Well, look at the Woodlander. He's given us his numbers, right? He's been honest here. We've got 500 members. We need to double it. Absolutely. If we had
John,
500...
Sorry to interrupt. No, I was going to comment on, the Woodlander as comment as well. Absolutely right. 500 members, we need to double it. But out of those 500 members, he's raised nearly £95,000 in what, 4 or 5 months.
Correct.
That's a huge achievement.
Of course it is. And as a party leader, I'd be more than delighted to take those 500 members and a £5 subscription fee and work with that alongside the Woodlander, because that's what we need to do. Alongside John Lawrence, we need to work beside each other in conjunction with.
Yeah, I think it's £10 a year to become a member of the Woodlanders Initiative.
Right.
Which is
nothing.
Really nothing.
Well, it's the same with
camping for a weekend on a bit of land. It's going to cost you a lot more than that. Or
of course. Well, it's likewise with the
why not do it? And so another 500 members should be easily achievable. We just need to get the word out.
Well, it's the same as the party. What does it cost? £5 to join the party? How is that going to break anybody? It's not.
Yes.
All it requires is somebody to break their attitude and say, I'm going to do it. Okay. I might not be out every weekend doing this, that, and t'other, because there won't be anything to do. However, if I can commit myself to the possibility of that, along with the possibility of using my £5, then we've got possibilities that we never had before, just like the Woodlander has got possibilities that he never had before. Exactly. That's the point. You can't sit forever and daydream about what might happen. You've either got to say, I'm going to accept the Woodlanders challenge, if you want to call it a challenge. I'll give him a tenner. I'll join his group. I'll do what's necessary. Or I join the People's Party, give them a £5, do exactly the same thing, or John Lawrence's party and do the same thing there. Because there is no other way. Otherwise, these hotels will continue to fill up, will continue to be supplied with more and more problems that we cannot solve. And the only way to do it is for people to take action.
Oh, John, that's a good point you touched on, about the hotels being filled up with migrants. Have you heard today that most of the Nordic countries have said we're passing laws to get rid of them, to send them back?
Yeah, of course I have.
That's just hot air. It's not going to happen. That's just hot air.
Yeah, well,
but Tommy, if they can do that as members of the European Union, when we're not in this country, in my country, in your country, the Prime Minister's he's not even turning around and saying, we're going to do this.
Of course he's not. He's not
I
interested.
mean, it's ridiculous.
Are they actually going to enact it, though, is the thing? It's all very well saying it. I don't think they're actually going to do it. Well,
I
they were
read
saying that they're going to move them into private housing.
Well, that's not exactly. That's not exactly moving them.
I read that apparently, if you deport an asylum seeker, the ECHR, European Court of Human Rights, they'll fine the country £3,000. That is cheap. If it's £142 a week to put them up in RAF Strampton, pay the £3,000. You know.
Yeah, again, I just
need it. So why can't we do this? Why can't our government do this?
Because our government are not interested. It's simple as that. You need people like myself or a Woodlander, people who are really people of the people and who are only interested in solutions to the actual problems. And those solutions more and more often are going to be tough solutions that people will be reluctant to take, but will need to take them. And we're back to this again. You can't sit forever on a computer hoping something's going to happen.
No, but John, I think that they're too afraid of losing votes. They don't want to upset anybody, and this is the problem.
Well, we have got, because every vote we get for the kind of action that we would take is the kind of vote that we want and the kind of action that we want to take. So there's nothing lost in it for us. You're only going to lose if you're a wetneck, put it that way. If you're not one of us, forget it. I've got no time for these people. I've only got time for people who are interested in solutions that can be adopted by us relatively simply. What happens if you take charge of a council down south somewhere on the coast? What happens? You can change the bylaws. You can make it so that it's illegal for a hotel owner to bring in these people.
Yeah.
Or you can fine them extraordinary. You can fine them extraordinary sums of money.
I do like the fact that the local council in Lincolnshire, they are taking the Home Office to court regarding RAF Scampton, because they want to redevelop this for the benefit of the local people. And obviously the Home Office, they want to put 2,000 illegal immigrants in there, all men, by the way, fighting age men. And no, we do have some people in local councils who are saying, no, Mr. Home Office, we don't want that. And we'll take it to court.
Well, that's what you've said about what the Nordic countries have said, bro. This is the same kind of thing of Suella Braverman, soft girl, has said about deporting them to Rwanda. It's just complete hot air just to appease the masses, and then they'll just do it anyway.
Well, why not use the old favourite island of Africa?
Go Madagascar.
Yeah, why not? It's been branded around for a long time. Why not go back to that again if you're going to start that nonsense? No, I'm not interested in that nonsense. The only nonsense I'm interested in is seeing these boats and planes disappear over the horizon into the fog. That's it. And the only way we can do that is by, in my opinion, we've got a start here with the Woodlander. We've got John Lawrence's party as a start. We've got my party as a start. But we need to consolidate those things. And we won't do it until people stop saying, I'm thinking of joining, but I haven't yet joined. They need to start saying, I'm going to join and join.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Put words into action.
No disregard to anybody personally. I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up listening to people tell me that. I'm thinking of joining, but I'm not. I haven't yet made up my mind. Well, what the hell's keep you? What is it you need to make you join? I don't get it.
We just said half an hour ago, John, it's apathy.
Ah,
People just don't think there's a point and nothing can change. And this is the obstacle of convincing people.
that's why I'm hoping that the Woodlander thing is going to enormously help people get out of that, because he'll be able to say very soon now, I expect. Right, guys, we bought this big bit of land here. Here it is. Here's some photographs. We're going to do this, that, and t'other, and that will get rid of the apathy. And suddenly, the people who are then involved will be saying, "Wow, brilliant! We've got some concrete. It's happened." And that's what we don't have at the moment. We do not have anything concrete. This is the next best thing to it. Once that happens, once Woodlander gets that, we'll have something concrete. And then the parties, such as my own, can lean on it and say, yeah, you join our party. If you want to go for a holiday, we can arrange you can go there. Safe place to go for you and the wife and all that. That's the crossover. Same with John. That's the way I see it. But we need something concrete, and we don't have it yet. As soon as they've got it, we'll have that one first concrete piece that we can hang on to. We can show other people and say, look, here it is. Here's the proof that we can do what we say we can do. We're not just talk anymore.
I've
There you
said
go,
it on
John.
streams before, John, and I didn't say it lightly. The likes of you yourself, sir, and the Woodlander, Simon, you will go down in history as far as I've got a particular idol. John Tyndall's a big idol of mine, the founder of the,
Yeah.
John Tyndall is.
Oh,
You
yeah.
and Woodlander will go down in history as great men in this country. You and the Woodlander have done more for British nationalism than anyone in the past 20 years. And I don't say that lightly. You truly have. The pair of yous have got up your ass and tried to do something about it.
You're,
A lot of people have been
uh,
come and gone, and
you're
but the both of
absolutely
yous.
right. Absolutely right, Toffee. Why do you think I have my little smoking implement here?
Yeah, I
No.
see that. It's got a
Nice homage.
See, I tried to copy John there, you see.
yeah, I see that. But seriously, no, this is what we need.
Here's the
Folks.
box, John. Look, yeah, see, it's original.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, the old cigarette holder.
Look at Cheeky there. Rory thinks he's Bet Lynch.
Dear me.
And I like to
Dear
think,
me.
although I haven't spoken to him in personal as such, but I like to think that the Woodlander supports my own view about this cross-fertilisation, this cross-dependency, and cross-development, because it will happen. It's bound to happen. It's got to happen. But
It'd be interesting to hear Woodlander's opinion. In fact, I wouldn't put it in the comments there, would he? What do you think? I think John's right. Like,
Send him the link. John, you can come on the stream. Why not?
yeah, if you can come on for 10 minutes, Wood.
Simon.
Well,
I have a couple of other things. The reason I was going to come on in the first place, actually, John, that apparently Scotland has just passed a law putting a buffer zone around migrant hotels. Is that true?
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
I mean, what on earth are they going to do next?
They're going to put big exclusion zones around it so you can't get near it. That's what they'll do if they need to.
It's like, silently praying outside an abortion clinic. I mean,
Correct.
what on earth is happening?
Because that's what they want. That's what they'll do.
It's just gone crazy.
Everywhere's bad, obviously, but Scotland have gone for it. Scotland is bad on steroids.
Exactly. We've got the Woodlander with us, have we?
Excellent. Excellent. Oh, other question, quick question, John, if you don't mind. The Palestinian March in London on Armistice Day on the 11th. What about that? I mean, how disgusting is that? They're talking about calling the army in, because the police won't be able to handle a 1 million man march or 1 million person march they're talking about. I mean, I just can't believe it.
Well, you know what? You know what? I'm going to be really simplistic here and say to you, do you know what concerns me? Our problems concern me. Once we get our problems solved, then we can look at other people's problems. I want our problems solved. Good evening, Woodlander. Here he is.
Hello, folks. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you.
Nice to see you, Si.
This is the first time my flaring up temper has been tested in real life, so I'm doing all right.
John, you are sounding so much better, I have to say.
Thank you.
It's nice to see.
Right, let's
Brilliant.
hear what the Woodlander's got to say about what I've been saying.
Yeah, I will shut up.
The first thing is, I've got to say, John's right. The minute we have a victory, many, many more people get on board with either my initiative or with a political party. The problem has always been we haven't had a victory. And we haven't had a victory that's real. Getting a councillor at the moment is really not seen as a victory. We've had no political success, and I haven't bought any land yet. The minute something happens that we can point to, then people realise it's real. And that spreads right through the whole thing. When it comes to political parties, at the moment, the road forward politically is completely shut off to us. There is no way forward. They either will not let you register, or if they do, it's because they know they can literally shut you down within 2 or 3 weeks, which is what they're doing to John. That doesn't mean we don't need a political system and a political party. We do. And what we need to do is actually form a political party that sets up in opposition. And by that, I mean we need a shadow government that can actually say, these are our policies, this is what we're arguing against. When the Secretary of Education or the Education Secretary puts forward a policy in the Houses of Parliament, we should be able to say, well, this is what our Education Secretary has said, this is what our defence policy is, this is what our housing policy is, and we should have an argument against everything they've got. And we can then make that public. We don't even need to be registered.
Yeah.
We just need to be professional.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Couldn't agree more. And that's part of what comes out of having a political party, because you've got some structure already in existence that can take care of all that and can develop as time needs it to develop.
I think if you form a political party and think that you're going to gain the levers of power in the UK, you're deluded. It's not going to happen. I can promise you it's not going to happen. But that doesn't mean you can't start a political organisation, a political party, and show the public your point of view. And that's not happening. Nobody can tell me that there's a political party that has got an education policy that they can put up arguments against, a housing policy that they can argue against the government's housing policy, a finance direct. All of these different departments that the government has got is what we need. And we need to show arguments against all of that weekly.
Yeah.
Agree.
Well,
And then, because what happens is eventually when that system starts to crumble, which it is, the people will be looking for an alternative that works. And if you're there, and have always been there for the last decade, putting in policies, showing people what you would have done, showing people what would have happened if they'd chosen you instead of the government, bit by bit, it doesn't matter if you're a political party or not. It matters that you're professional and that you're doing it on a constant basis. Not just protesting about lots of different things, but for putting forward positive policies that would help the country, help the people.
Such
well,
as
the modern. Sorry, can I just butt in, John, quickly? I mean, you've had experience, haven't you? I think in the Conservative Party about trying to change it from the grassroots up. I had the same thing with UKIP, and you just get to a point where it's like no.
Well, the strange thing is, at grassroots level, the Conservative Party was relatively easy to push. A lot of them were fairly right-wing anyway. But at that top level, once you get into the Houses of Parliament, it's, like I've just said, it's a self-sustaining system. There is no red, greens, blues, sky blue, pinks. It's one system, one group, one big trough, and they've all got their snout in it. And I can tell you now, the one thing they do is protect that system. That they will not let anybody change it. And why would they? They're the ones with power.
Exactly.
Like a great example of it, as you've just been saying there, Si, of showing that there can be victories is what happened in, I can't speak Welsh, Llanelli.
Exactly that. Now, you and me both know that in the real world, right, that was a victory for Llanelli, but not necessarily for the country. Those people haven't gone away. They've simply gone to your town.
Yeah, they'll just get moved on.
Exactly. So as much as we need to take victories where we can, right, we need to look at the bigger picture. My thing with the political route is it's kind of shut off, but eventually this system collapses. It can't sustain itself. We kind of know that. But if we haven't got an alternative to show the people, and they're not going to be looking for someone who's waving flags and protesting. They're looking for someone who's got a sensible education policy, a sensible housing policy, a sensible financial policy. Right? People who are putting up arguments weekly, monthly, right? And that's what, if you do that, even if you're not registered, right? People notice. People say, well, if we'd done what they said, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in now.
The registration thing, Woodlander, is irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant. Absolutely.
I've said before, well, I've said this many times, right? And I said it to Mark himself. PA would have much more support from the general public if he said, we're having nothing to do with those people. Nothing to do with that political system, right? They are all corrupt. They are all liars. It's a corrupt system, right? And we want nothing to do with them. They're all the same. And I'll tell you what, that resonates with people.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
People understand that. And then what he needs to do is say, right, this is our policy on education. This is our policy on housing. This is our policy on immigration, right? And this is what happens if you do it. And every time the government slips up, they need to be there to say, this is what they've done with this, and this is what we would have done.
Yeah.
every
Well,
time.
I would add to that, why do you think that only 50% of the population bother to vote in the first place?
Exactly.
I mean,
Look, most people know it's a fixed system. It's rigged. It doesn't matter if you vote for Labour or if you vote Conservative. Whichever one you vote for, the prick gets in. Right? People
yeah,
know
if we
this.
can, if we
What
can
you need is
convince
a political. Is a
those
political party that points that out to them and says, "Look, we're not having anything to do with it."
yeah, but if you get those 50% to vote for you, you will defeat the major political parties. It's a
Yes.
big struggle, but I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
achievable.
Yeah.
Yes, but again, you've got to look at that and say that has to be done one council at a time, one councillor at a time, so that you've got one councillor that you can point to the general public and say, well, he's not corrupt. How do I know that? Because he never
John,
did this.
John, that's been done. I mean, the BNP did it. They got councillors throughout the UK. They had them in the north. They had them in London. They had them in Tower Hamlets. They had them in Dagenham. And the following year, usually, they're ousted. And it took so much money to get them in, and the NHP will do the same thing. They'll get councillors in within a year or two. They'll be foisted out. These groups are used as pressure valves as well to allow you so much victory, so it relieves the pressure. Councils at the moment are being sidelined daily by central government. The new planning laws that came in last Thursday just consolidated all planning back to central government away from local government. So when you were on about there's councils in Lincoln and this, and they're fighting against these hotels, it makes no difference.
Yeah.
Because the government have just taken final say back to central government. So the council can say, well, we don't want that. And central government now says, tough, do it anyway.
Yeah.
So they're consolidating all the time now. They're taking power back to the centre, right, back to themselves. It's the system protecting itself. It knows there's a problem. They know what we could do. We could take council seats. So what it will do is it will take the power away from the councils and consolidate it in the centre again. There isn't a political way forward at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, Woodland, can I just say something again in contradiction of that? A good friend of mine called Sarah Dyke, she was a local councillor in Sompton and Frome, and she's just been elected. She's a Lib Dem, but she was a local councillor, did a lot for her community. She's just been elected as a Lib Dem member of Parliament. So there is a route. There is a route up the ladder.
I'm not saying as a liberal Democrat or a Conservative or a Social Democrat or whatever. If you're part of a mainstream party, you can become a councillor, but you're part of the system. This is what I'm saying. As part of the system, you'll be allowed up that ladder. And even if you're not, let's say the National Housing Party or the Patriotic Alternative or John's party, you manage, by hook or by crook, you get yourself a councillor, and they do really well. And the chances of you becoming an MP are minuscule. But let's say you do. So you've got one MP, which is more than any other nationalist party in ever. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Nigel Farage couldn't do it, could he?
No, look, that way forward through this system is closed. The problem is a lot of people don't realise it. It's actually closed. They're not going to allow it. But that doesn't mean we don't need a political party and we don't need a political system. We do.
Yep.
We need it to point to. We need it to say, these are our arguments. This is our answer. And then the people can see it. When this system starts to decay, right, and fall down, they will be looking for an alternative. If you haven't got one, they'll continue to go along with what's being offered. If you have an alternative that looks like it can work, they'll jump at it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with
I
you.
100% agree, Si. This is what I was I'm not as good with words as you. This is what I was trying to explain earlier. I don't believe that, as you've just said, I don't believe that there's a way forward through the political route currently. But as long as people know that we're there, because as I said, most of the working class agree with us. They just need to know that we are there. And then when it all falls to shit, we're there.
Exactly that, right? But they do you know what they're going to want to know? Right? They're not going to want to know how good you are at waving flags outside a hotel or stopping trans weirdos reading stories. These things are worthwhile, but they don't want to know that. They want to know, how's my kids going to be educated? They want to know, what's your housing policy? What happens to my wages and my job, right, which are rapidly disappearing? What are you going to actually do for us? Show me your policies. Tell me what you're going to do. Show me the picture. They want the picture. No one's doing that. No one's got that vision to say, this is what we could have. Look at it. Look at it. I want to see a video of it. I want to see what happens when you put that housing policy into practice. Show me it.
Well,
Let me see it.
That's what I was saying, Woodlander, earlier to Toffee. We've got this excellent, excellent plan for the National Health Service. You put that into a leaflet and you give it to the people. They can read it for themselves. There's your action plan. They can then compare that to what's already happening. And you've got a comparison. If we could do that with, as Woodlander is already saying, other policies such as education, we can provide a whole stack of these things that can be used as a a counterpoint to what they're doing, especially when there begins to collapse.
I understand, right, that a lot of these parties are really small. Trust me, I do understand it, trying to do stuff for yourself when it's just like you and a couple of other people and some supporters. But the public don't know that.
No.
The public look at these things and say, right, so you're a political party. And they expect you, right, to have exactly the same skills and knowledge as the Liberal Democrats, the Conservative Party, and the Labour Party. If you fall down, you don't stand a chance. So it needs to be professional. It needs to be that when they say, well, what about this? What about the economic policy? What about your foreign policy? What's that? And then you need to be able to explain it as well. And this is why, like, the BNP were actually really good at this. Really good. Their manifesto was like twice the size of the Labour manifesto, twice the size of the Conservative manifesto. And they went through everything and they had a policy and they worked it out and they had a budget. They worked out the national budget, where that money would come from, how it would what. No one's doing that at the moment. No one is doing it.
No.
I'll never lose hope, because I know, quote unquote, our people are already out there. They almost don't even need to be brought on side because they're already with us. But as both of you gentlemen have just explained, we just need to wake them the fuck up. This system needs to collapse before it can go forward. And then once it's collapsed,
that's exactly it.
You'll get on board.
Everything we can do at the moment, right, to weaken this system, right, plays into our hands. But John, I'm with you 100% when you say we need a political party. We do, right? And as much as that, I don't think there's a political way forward, and I really don't, we need that party because it needs to be in place. It needs to be professional. It needs to start cutting its teeth and getting the right people in place now. Because when this collapses, they're going to need someone. They're going to need something. And I've said this all the way along, right? If we don't do anything now, like when it does come down to it,
It's too late.
It's always too late. You can't wait until the accident happens before you put your seatbelt on. It's like you need to do some things first, right, to make sure you're in place.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
gents, I'm going to leave you to it. I'm going to duck on out. John, thank you very much for having me on for 5 minutes, mate.
Not at all. Please send me your email address so we can keep in touch.
I will do, mate. I will
Please
do.
Because we need to get this up and running, this conversation between us. We do. We need it.
Toffee, always nice to speak to you, mate. Rory, thank you very much, sir.
You too, sir. Speak soon. Love you. Ta-ra.
Take care.
You're welcome. All right. John, I think I might pop out as well.
Okay, let's tell you I was
let's wrap it up, lads.
Yeah.
Yeah, time is getting on. But excellent stream. And John, once again, I'd just like to say you're looking so much better. It looks like, I can tell you, here's a little funny story. I suffered from severe pneumonia about 3 or so years ago, and well, I still have a little bit of it. But I went to the doctor and she had the result of my CAT scan, and she put it up on her computer screen, and she said, well, here you are. These are your lungs. Don't worry, it's not cancer. I said, where's my head? She said, oh, we cut that off. I said, that's amazing. I didn't feel a thing.
Ba-boom.
Very good.
Rory, sir, you look like a snooker player tonight with that waistcoat on. Very smart. Hey, I'll duck out, John. I'll let you say your goodbyes. Thank you for having me on.
Well, I was going to say goodbye to you, Toffee. I hope you have enjoyed it. I certainly have myself enjoyed it. And it's nice to see so much agreement. That's the pleasurable thing. We are so much in agreement with what is needed to be done. And it's a question of sitting down and doing it. And I'm sure you will take part in that in your own way. I'm sure of it.
Always a pleasure, sir. God bless you. Look after yourself. I shall speak to you soon. Thanks for having me on, mate. Love you.
No problem at all, my friend. You take care. Speak to you all soon. Right, let's bring on the music. And there we go. So there's the music, and we've got that woodlander up there. We need to put something up there. Well, we'll do that. That'll do nicely. Thank you for that, Special K. I thought it was a very good stream. And I'll say one more time, just so you know, please stop saying to yourself, I'm going to join, but not yet. If you're going to join, join. Don't hesitate, don't wait. We don't have the time for waiting. The money that comes in will be used in a very productive way, you can be sure of that. So I'm asking again and again, stop hesitating. join the party. If not mine, join Lawrence's. If not mine, then join the Woodlanders. Okay. And I'll see you all soon. I haven't decided when I'll be back on again. I've got my friend coming down tomorrow night from Glasgow to visit. So I have that, and I haven't made up my mind. So you just need to keep an eye open for when I'm back on again, friends. Okay. But please do something about joining the party and don't leave it hanging, as many of you have. I'll speak to you real soon. And it was lovely to see you all here. Appreciate you all coming, as always. So, take care, everyone, and speak soon. So, for the moment, it's adios, au revoir, cheerio. And for the moment, goodbye for now. Take care. It's only a fiver, says Steve. It is.
Silently the snow falls, paints a winter scene, swiftly spreads the dark rim, hides the fading autumn green. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, conjure friendships dear to me. Lightly now the breeze flows, disturbing more than just the leaves. But life's much more.
So much more. So it's up to you.
Then we can know we are one small glow in the eternal flow. Patiently the love grows, lifts the weary heart. Gently now she holds me, melts two worlds once apart. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, usher dreams of you and me. Softly then the breeze blows, disturbing more than just the trees.
All together now.
But love's much more.
So much more.
Than we can know.
That we could ever possibly know.
We are one small glow,
but an important glow
in the eternal flow. Melodies of long ago, songs of innocence, harmonies to soothe the soul, past the consequence. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, awakening joys of you and me. Silently the snow falls, bringing winter symphony. but we're much more.
So much more.
than we can know.
Than we can possibly know.
We are one small glow in the eternal flow. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow.
So there you go, folks. I'll speak to you all soon. Not sure when that will be, but it will be soon. So you take care. Remember to join the party. So, bye for now. Take care.